You know, the world is going crazy about the coronavirus. So first and foremost, don't panic. You know, there was just a flu, and the flu affected 25 million people. That's exponentially more than the coronavirus. You may not know this, but unfortunately 25,000 people died of the flu. Were you panicking about the flu? So there's no reason to panic, and unfortunately the virus, probably just like the flu, only affects those with weakened immune systems. So in the end of the day, God controls the world, and if he didn't decide that you're going to die, you're not going to die. Let me tell you a story. And the story is that there was a chassid by the name of Mendel Futerfas. Now the KGB was amazing at even getting the best of the best into their net. They would threaten people, everything. So they said to him, listen, this was a real story, it's real. We're going to give you an option. Either you become an informer, or we're going to send you right now to your death. So listen to what Mendel said to them. This is in their clutches. He says, I'm a believer in God. You can't kill me. If it's my time to die, I'm going to walk outside and a car, God forbid, could hit me. And if it's not my time to die, you can't kill me. Imagine saying this to people that have killed 25 million people. And so they thought, okay, he's not an informer. They sent him out. And moments, he was literally at the place, God forbid, they were going to shoot him. Moments before, a telegram came from Moscow, 10 years of hard labor, and he lived into his 90s. So you see, God decides life and death. And God, 99.9999% has decided that you're going to live. So nothing to worry about. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take precautions, which basically, I believe the precautions are wash your hands and try not to touch your face before you wash your hands, and that's about it. Second thing, and this is really everything that happens for a reason. And I see the following 5 amazing, unbelievable lessons, because everything that happens teaches us something. That's the whole world. Like the Baal Shem Tov says, every event, everything you hear and see comes to make you into a better person. So there are 5 ways that we can become better people from a lesson of the coronavirus. The first thing is, look at the power of stupidity. Some guy didn't cook his meat properly, got sick, and infected the whole world. Now, just imagine how he feels. You can imagine how that person, I don't know if he knows about it or doesn't know, but imagine there's a human being that did that. He must feel terrible. Now, if you do a single good deed, a single hello, a single love, a single act of charity, a single act of upliftment, I'll give you an example. There's a guy, very great researcher, his name is Daniel Goleman. And Daniel Goleman speaks about this friendly, elderly black guy that would get on the bus every day and he'd say hello to the bus driver and hello to all the passengers. And they did a little study, and it turns out that the people on that bus would say hello to the next person and the next person. So one guy saying hello to everybody had a ripple effect around the world. So your dedication to saying hello to people can change lives. And just do it. It will change lives with ripple effects around the world. The next thing is there's something very powerful that's going on in the world today. It's been going on for a while, and it's called Hamtokas Hadinim. And in simple language, all of us are a combination of 2 things. We have a divine soul, and we have an animal spirit. Now, what runs the animal spirit? First and foremost is the ego. What is the ego? The ego is a sense of greatness. I'm special. In other words, why, God forbid, somebody that's depressed, they lose desire. They don't want to eat, and they don't have desires for intimacy, and they lose all their desires. They basically become slothful. Why? Because depression is when a person is angry at themselves. In other words, they hate themselves. And if they hate themselves, why should they make themselves happy? Because the nature of love is that you want to make the person you love happy. So the very first thing that has to happen for a person to be functional is they have to love themselves. Once you love yourself, like the Torah says, love another as yourself. Why as yourself? Because it's an unconditional love. Whatever I want to make myself happy. I want this. So as long as it popped into my little head, I want it. But there's a problem with that. Because life is about love. And love takes humility, because in order to love, you have to give. And in order to give, you have to have humility and sacrifice. And so therefore, a person has to have some ego, but can't have too much ego. In general, this is the way the world works. Everything you need some of, but you don't need too much of it. Even happiness, you need some of it, but too much, you become delusional. That's what manic is. They lose their perspective of reality. They think they can do anything. So everything, you need some of it, but not too much of it. And so there's a process of humbling us. We are in the best times in human history. Never before could anyone imagine. Look at me. I'm taking this little video, and you're seeing this video. It's unbelievable. When you think about what's happened here, it's unbelievable. So we are living in the most prosperous, best times in human history. We're living double as long. You know what that means, double as long as 100 years ago? Going back for thousands of years. It's unbelievable the times we're in. But the thing is, we have to focus on the task at hand. And sometimes that takes some humility. Because if it's ego, it's just what do I want? More. I can never satisfy my kind of cravings, because whatever I get, more. And so this humility, and in fact it speaks about, we're soon going to see Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, the world is really ready for Mashiach. But in a sense, where can ego most manifest? It could manifest in dictators and powerful leaders, because literally, for example, the dictator in China, now, it's not to say that some countries don't need, every country needs law and order. And many countries, democracy won't function in them. And therefore, to have a benevolent dictator is the only way and the best way for that country to function. So I'm not criticizing. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, if you are the dictator over 2 billion people, and you hold much of the economy, of the world's economy in your hands, that's going to make you arrogant. So God's humbling. Look, I have a power way beyond your power. I can do things that you would never imagine could happen. In 1 second, everything can change. So it's not about, God forbid, hurting us. It's about humbling us. So our goodness, our divine, so remember, we're made up of two separate forces, a divine infinite light, and an animal that the more you feed it, the more it wants, and the more arrogant it gets. And when you're arrogant and things don't go your way, you get angry. And when you're angry, you become vicious and malicious. So these are two very opposite forces. You need the divine and you need the animal, but you need them in the right proportions. And so I'm going to conclude with what I believe is really happening is that we're learning that we're all very similar. We all have bodies that have DNAs. Nobody's different. The Chinaman and the Jew and the black and the white. We're all one people. We all have to realize that we have a God part in us. And that has to dominate us. And if we have an ego, it's to drive the God part in the direction of making this world a place filled with love, goodness and kindness, and very soon, I guarantee you, very soon, Mashiach, the long-awaited Redeemer, is coming. He's going to redeem us. He's going to heal us. Everybody will well and healthy and wealthy and happy forever.